How's everyone doing? Good? Is anyone hungry right now? I just want to check in. Is anyone hungry? Want to make sure? Okay, so here, Gio, get that one. Yeah, I got a couple of pairs here. All right, Jeff, you look a little hungry. Here you go. Okay, excellent. Want to make sure everyone's taken care of. So my name is Robert Alexander. I'm the last speaker. Wow, it all went so fast, right? It's amazing how time operates. It's like the blink of an eye. I'll be here talking to you guys about a new meditation app that I have designed, and I'm excited to release the beta, so this will actually be the first opportunity for the public to take part in what I'm about to show you guys. So I'm personally pretty excited. So, the Buddha became enlightened by meditating on his breath, enabling him to trace his spiritual life force back to the true source. And oftentimes, we forget about the sheer simplicity of that. And what that really means, the fact that we're all breathing right now. It's almost so simple that we can perpetually overlook this fact, and yet our breath, it is truly a life force. It is truly sustaining. We begin breathing when we're born, we stop breathing when we die. And we breathe all the way in between. Okay, I think I have to point this thing like a laser beam. So before I dive too deeply into that, I want to let you guys know who I am, but first, ask yourselves this question. Go ahead. Who am I? Because that'll actually take you pretty far if you contemplate on that. It's pretty juicy. Who am I? Okay, so who am I really though? I am Robert Alexander. I am a media artist. I am a technologist. I am a scientist and researcher. So this is a result of my work with NASA. We worked with the Solar Heliocentric Research Group at the University of Michigan. And here I've got the sun in one hand and I'm illustrating a coronal mass ejection event. Wow, translators. Have fun. Events like these have the potential to knock out power grids, to knock out satellites. So it's really important to know when these kind of things happen. And so I was called in by a team of scientists, and they had this crazy idea. Robert, we've gone through these data archives, we think we're overlooking something. How about we take this and we turn it into sound? And I said, heck yeah, let's go for it. So I've spent the past good part of a decade actually working with researchers, digging into these data sets and learning how to use technology in a very fluid way. There we go. And working with data sonification. Sonification is the act of taking data and turning it into sound. Why am I standing here in front of this audience talking about sonification today? Because in my experience, sonification provides a direct experience to our data sets. And when we think about something like the scientific method, everything that we do is so couched in visual language and visual metaphors that we often forget about a lot of the premises, the fundamental premises that we make about the data sets that we're investigating, and how the questions that we ask actually influence the tools that we build, which influence the results that we find. So initially, just think about a spirit of curiosity. Think about a spirit of there's a lot of things that are kind of just outside the realm of your eyes, of your sight, literally speaking, that if we open up our other senses, we can begin to tap into the world in a new way. And this particular approach has been shown to greatly enhance research methodologies when supplementing visual investigation. And so when we think about things like intuition, how we learn about the world around us, we can use data sonification to really engage all of our senses and to start to inform our intuition in a way that helps us create some new discoveries that might otherwise be overlooked. And that actually has a lot to do, in this particular talk, with the way we can think about things like meditation, think about things like direct sensory engagement. So this right here is a plot of solar wind data from the year 2000 to the year 2014 or so. And a lot of researchers will look at plots like these. This is called a time series. There's another way to graph this data. So this is a wavelet analysis. Otherwise, like a Fourier analysis is quite similar. But now we're working in frequency space, and it's cool having this display because I can do things like I can run along and say time starts here, and it moves this way. And sound goes from low up to high. So right here, we're looking at that exact same data set, but we're looking at a spectral representation. Oftentimes, we'll see things like an equalizer in a car, and it's also giving us a spectral representation. Now, when I see something like this, I see sound. So for me, it's directly intuitive to just hit play. But how do we go about hitting play? Okay, so we take that time series, which I talked about just a second ago. We find, what? Okay, so I'm going to go back. So this is going to do something interesting. This is one of those where we have to click on it, I guess. Is that possible? Okay, perfect. So we find the maximum value, the minimum value, and then we scale all of the data. So the graph that we just looked at before is now an audio file. So that's the process that we go through for data audification. Through this process, 1 million data samples can be played back in 23 seconds of audio. So if you've got 23 spare seconds on your hands, I don't know, you can boil an egg, or you can listen to 1 million data samples. So it really allows you to soak in vast quantities of data and really start to pick up some subtle nuances. So in working with this research team, we started investigating the sun, listening to the solar wind there. And that hum that you hear is the fundamental rotational period. Except it's the fundamental rotational period over the course of about 14 years. And so what that means is when we hear this that hum there, we're listening to spots on the sun that go around and come back, so we get another observation. They go around and back, so we get another observation, so we start to get patterns in our data set. When we listen to 14 years worth of data over the course of about 6 or 7 seconds, that turns into a frequency. Now, when we listen to these subtle frequencies, interesting things can happen. You probably heard that the hum that was there. This is another sort of Fourier analysis of that hum. But interestingly enough, the data parameters that we were investigating weren't even things that the scientists were interested in looking at. Through audification, I was able to listen to a number of data parameters and actually start to figure out where are some of the interesting things happening. And just the rapidity, so the speed with which I was able to listen to those events allowed me to gain access to a very large data pool that actually was a little too large for the researchers to dig into. So through this sort of wide assessment, through this kind of informed intuition where I started to say to myself, oh, okay, so this kind of sounds like that thing. Why does it sound like that thing? And really to engage my curiosity and to start asking questions. So through this process, that led us to this plot here, which led us to a new scientific discovery. So through this process, we now have a new understanding of where all the energy on the sun comes from. So through listening to the solar wind, we now have a better understanding of the source regions and the ability to trace them back to things like sunspots on the surface of the sun. In another talks, I'll get into carbon ionization stages and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not going to get into that here today. But the thing here that I'm really trying to stress is that this technique is powerful. Not only is this technique powerful, but our ears are very powerful. And if I'm silent for just a second here, we kick in and we hear the air conditioning, right? Just a moment ago, you might not have noticed the AC because the pattern matching mechanisms in your brain already tuned it out. So you say, the most important thing that's happening right now is the man who's up on stage who's trying to explain something to me, and okay, so that's the important thing, and you stop listening to the sound of the AC. This is also known, if you think about the cocktail party effect, there's a lot of stuff happening. You can tune into one person and pick up on what that one person is saying. And the important thing here is that we're starting to gain intuitive insight. So we can gain insights, like when you wake up in the morning, you don't make a decision, do I want to use my eyes or my ears today? We're sensory beings. We operate through taste and touch. And how is the pear? Is it good? Excellent, right? So now your ability, I'll catch it. So your ability to talk about that is now, anyone else who hasn't tasted one of those pears can't share that experience with you. You could try to use any words that you could. You could say it's kind of like an apple. It's kind of, like a little sour though, but no one's really going to be able to get it unless they experience it for themselves. And I believe in the power of direct experience and the power of things like that type of insight meditation to lead to deeper knowing through our senses. And here's the shift in the talk where it gets a little non-linear, so just follow this thread, because there is something in my life that's led me to start to live in a very different way. A dramatic shift in my life whereby I'm living with a sort of a physiological condition whereby for me it really matters the quality of my day, and I started to focus more on my meditation, more on my practice, and I started to focus less on outer space, and for me I'm focusing a lot on inner space these days. And so if we go ahead and kind of sit up in our chairs a little bit and we just take a deep breath into our stomach, just this act of breathing here, we're We're modulating our nervous system, right? So warriors have known this for years, the ability of breathing to mediate things like pain, the ability of breathing to regulate fear, and the immune system. Breath is extremely powerful. And when we open our breathing, we also open up vitality. Things really start to flow. If anyone's had any kind of acupuncture or any energy work, then you know the importance of nice, big, deep, fluid breaths over the course of this type of work. And so this application that I constructed, it takes a similar principle, right? Because we're listening to a data stream. But the data stream that we listen to is the data from our own breath, the same breath that the Buddha followed to attain enlightenment. And so, in moving on here, I want to first show you, this is a solar wind data stream that we're listening to here. So what we're doing here is we're taking the velocity of the solar wind and we're using that to modulate a filter that's placed over white noise. So I can do the same thing with my mouth. My mouth is the filter there. Okay, so if you unplug the sun and then you plug in the breath, you get to the same system, you get some motion like this. And evidently you're going to have to really kind of lean in to be able to hear this. So it's some gentle kind of rise and fall like ocean waves. Kind of a... So the same system, but a very different type of response. And so here's where I bring my background as a composer to bear and really thinking about things like attention. Robin Arnold was talking about trance states. And so when you think about guiding attention back to the breath, it's important to do so in a way that's very gentle. Kind of like if you have a bird in your hand, try to squeeze it too tight, it's going to fly away. If you open up your hand too much, it can try to fly away as well. So it's really just the right amount of cradling that makes it feel like it's in a nest and makes it feel comfortable. So here's another iteration. So this is water and bells, modulated by respiration. Go ahead and turn the volume up. So breath in, breath out. And the bells are triggered at the onset of each respiratory cycle. So if someone breathes out, the bell takes place. Bring attention back to the moment of that transition. A lot of meditations focus on that transition moment, and this approach naturally guides you back to that through auditory reinforcement. The goal of this software is to promote relaxation, stress reduction, and meditation through transformational breath practice, supported by auditory biofeedback. So that's the gist right there in one slide. The slides continue to click. I'm personally being humbled and transformed by this clicker. So people will often move through this phase of discovery where they realize I'm controlling these sounds. I can make the sound of the ocean waves, I can make the sound of the wind, and this is sort of discovery. So that's active. So then from discovery to exploration. And now they say, wow, I can explore these sounds. What else can I make them do? And so it becomes a kind of a game. And then from exploration to integration, when someone remembers, oh, breath happens naturally. I don't have to actively make this happen. And from there, they begin to just breathe very naturally and sink into deep hypnagogic and meditative states. And I have a few quotes. I won't read them all. I've worked closely with Amy Coleman. Amy Coleman, she's the CEO of WellSmart. And she's been using this software with her patients. And they've been reporting amazing things, connection to joy, creativity, and relaxation. So that in and of itself is incredible feedback. Moving forward with the beta, I'm really looking forward to both having more sort of anecdotal subjective feedback from large audiences, but also getting this to a laboratory environment and really looking at what's going on in the brain during these types of biofeedback experiences. And truly for me, it has been really heart-opening to be able to connect with people through this practice, because people, they report being totally present and aware. This is Catherine Getsky, the CEO and founder of the Mood Factory. The more I can get in this state, the more I realize anything is possible. And when people come out of this experience, often they're glowing. And so many people who have talked about sound and the power of it have had similar reports. People who go through their experience are able to reach these kind of states. So for me personally, it's very exciting. Deborah Ferrantino, actress. So for her, she felt like she was enabled to reach another dimension. And I remember we met at the Science of Consciousness this past year, and after the experience that she had with this app, she just gave me a really big hug, and we just held each other for a little while. It was really this heart-opening kind of moment. And Jimmy Lamb actually had the sense that he was able to journey back in time through his memories and to fill a sense of a void that was there. So to hear that, it was also profoundly powerful. Now, I want to have you guys go ahead and close your eyes and listen to the sound of the wind chimes. If we go ahead and turn up the volume. So, you hear this filter rising and falling. Go ahead and breathe in. Let that rise. Breathe in. Very gently. Now, as it descends, let the breath fall out easily, naturally. And the breath come back in. Feeling the connection between your breath and that sound of the sweep. Breathing back out again. This is all easy, this is all natural, effortless. With the sound of the bell, breathing in again. The bell triggers the transition. Breathing in. Deeply, easily. Breathing back out again. Breathing back in. Full deep breath, filling the lungs. Breathing out. I invite you to envision a time in your life when you're surrounded by loved ones. Breathing in. Exhaling, letting it slip away gently and easily. I invite you to connect with a time in your life where you felt very held. Tuning into the sound of the water and releasing. Releasing. Breathing in, full deep breath. And now as you experience the rest of this audio, if you stay synchronized, beautiful. The breaths will synchronize with the chord changes in the sound. But if you just drift, that's okay too. So continue to take deep, full breaths in. And out. Gratitude for the organizers of this conference, feeling the potential in the air, all of the connections that we've made, all the intentions that we've set in this room, all of the brilliance that we've been surrounded by, brilliance of heart and mind. Knowing that the future that we all create together is right here in this room right now. And I think back to John Marshall Roberts' framework, really setting that intention right now, committing. Breathing in, letting it be easy. Breathing out, releasing. Feeling held by our colleagues here, knowing that we are all on the same team, that we all share the same goal, bring a little slice of goodness and beauty and connection to the world. Breathing in, deep breath. Feeling into your body, shaking up your shoulders. Preparing to open our eyes. Thank you all so much, for those of you who are still awake right now. And the next slide is the beta announcement. If you want to take a picture, if you want to be a part of this, it's an iPhone application. So all you need is a phone, and you can have this experience of this kind of transformational breath work. Everything is generated in real time from your breath, so just placing your phone on your chest or abdomen is enough to generate all the audio that you just listened to just now. And go ahead and shoot me an email. Working closely with Benjamin Collins, a developer, to make this a reality. We'd like feedback. So I'd love to hear from you. And there we go. So now, pulling it back out.